What's up guys, my name's Brandon and I've been using the iPhone 12 for close to 3 months now, and I've been enjoying pretty much everything about this phone except for 5G. But with the recent price drop of the iPhone 11, I'm not so sure that you should be buying the iPhone 12 over the iPhone 11 in 2021. And in this video, I'm going to explain why, along with my personal experience and all of the real world differences in the camera, the battery life, the display, the price, and more. And of course, by the end of this video, you should have a much better idea as to which iPhone to buy, or if you have an iPhone 11, whether or not you should upgrade to the iPhone 12. All right, so first, let's lay out the price of both phones. So let's start with the iPhone 12. This goes for $829 for the 64GB model, $879 for 128, and $979 for 256GB. Meanwhile, the iPhone 11 is $599 for 64GB, $649 for 128, and $749 for 256. And since I recommend 128 gigabytes for pretty much everybody, let's compare $879 to $649. So that's a $230 difference. That's not chump change. That's not like $50. That's not like $100. $230. So let's dive in and see if the 12 is worth an additional $230. So let's start off with the biggest change going from the iPhone 11 to the iPhone 12, and that is definitely the display. So both phones do have the same 6.1 inch screen, so the same size, but you will notice a big difference in your viewing angles and your colors because we have an LCD screen on the iPhone 11 and an OLED screen on the iPhone 12. Apple calls the iPhone 11 display the Liquid Retina display and the iPhone 12's the Super Retina XDR display. So we have a 1400:1 contrast ratio on the iPhone 11 versus a 2,000,000:1 contrast ratio on the iPhone 12. So the colors are going to pop a lot more on the iPhone 12. You're going to notice that text will be much more clear and precise, and the blacks are going to be a pure black, unlike they are on any LCD screen. So we also have 625 nits of max brightness on both phones. However, that goes up to 1200 nits of max brightness on the iPhone 12 when viewing HDR content. So yeah, both phones are great for watching movies and YouTube videos and Twitch streams, whatever you'd like to watch, but the iPhone 12 is clearly going to give you a better experience in terms of color accuracy, especially when it comes to those deep colors like the blacks. So here's an example of both phones playing the same video at the same brightness, and you can see how much better the iPhone 12 looks when it comes to those blacks. You can see the black is just simply a pure black. Everything just looks much higher quality on the iPhone 12 compared to the iPhone 11, again at the exact same screen brightness. And it's going to be the same deal with gaming and reading as well. So when gaming, the graphics are going to be very similar, but the colors and the sharpness are going to be superior on the iPhone 12. And of course, when you're reading, the sharpness of the text will be greater on the 12 compared to the 11. It's not that big of a difference. It's not like night and day like watching videos and things like that. But the reality is also, you're not really going to notice a huge difference if you're coming from a phone with an LCD display. And it's not to say that the LCD display on the iPhone 11 is bad, because it's not at all. I mean, obviously we're comparing OLED to LCD here. That is a massive difference in itself, but the quality on the iPhone 11 is still great. And again, you're really not going to feel like you're missing out on much unless you just had it side by side with the iPhone 12 here. Now, as for the design, just holding these two side by side, you can instantly see a difference in the overall design. So the iPhone 12 has those flat edges, whereas the iPhone 11 has the rounded edges that we've been growing accustomed to over the past few years. This is how it's been for a good while now. So it's going to be what you're used to, and the iPhone 12 is more of a kind of a reference to the old school phones like the iPhone 5S and the iPhone 4S. So feels really, really good in the hand. I actually prefer the flat edges on the iPhone 12. It feels more old school and just overall more comfortable in the hand to me. Now, I don't ever wear my phones naked. I always have a case on them, but even when it's in a case, you can feel a difference in the hand. And I just prefer those flat edges. It's easier to grip, and it just kind of conforms to my hand right here in my palm better than the flat edges, or the rounded edges rather, on the iPhone 11. Now, before we continue looking around these phones, I did also want to mention that the front glass is going to be more durable this year on the iPhone 12 compared to the iPhone 11, thanks to Apple's new ceramic shield. So that's what they're calling the new glass on the front of all of the iPhone 12s, and that's said to offer 4 times better drop performance. So I don't know about you guys, but I always have a screen protector on my front glass, so that really doesn't mean anything to me. And I did also find out the hard way that the iPhone 12 still scratches just as easily as every other iPhone. So that ceramic shield doesn't necessarily prevent scratches, because I would even say that this scratched easier than the iPhone 11 did. So durability wise, obviously the iPhone 12 is going to have to get the nod, but in terms of scratches, I think the iPhone 11 actually, didn't scratch as easily as the iPhone 12 does. Now, I did also want to mention the front-facing camera as well, because both have the same 12 megapixel camera, but Smart HDR3 and Deep Fusion on the front makes the selfies of the iPhone 12 just noticeably better than the iPhone 11. So you don't get Deep Fusion or night mode on the iPhone 11, but again, thanks to those two features, along with the A14 Bionic chip inside of the iPhone 12, you're gonna get really amazing selfies, and especially really amazing portrait selfies from the iPhone 12, and they are definitely better than you get on the iPhone 11. Now, as we continue looking around the body, you can see that the bottom is pretty much the same. We do have more speaker holes on the iPhone 11, but the sound quality is the same on both the iPhone 11 and the iPhone 12. We do have the Lightning port there, both do charge via Lightning. And then over on the right-hand side, you'll notice that we have a millimeter wave antenna right there on the bottom right, which is where the SIM tray used to be on other iPhones, including the iPhone 11, and the SIM tray has now moved to the bottom left-hand side on the iPhone 12. And you can see the side buttons there are pretty much the same, just the real main difference is going to be the curved edges versus the flat edges. And you're going to notice it right once you pick up the iPhone 12 compared to the iPhone 11. But again, some people like the curved edges better. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews. I don't really think one is completely superior to the other. It's all just a matter of personal opinion. And then on the back, we do have this same glass glossy look here, and we do have different colors. So we have 6 colors for the iPhone 11 and 5 color options for the iPhone 12. Both are also IP68 water and dust resistant, but the iPhone 12 is able to be submerged in up to 6 meters of water for 30 minutes compared to just 2 meters of water for 30 minutes on the iPhone 11. So if you plan on dropping your phone in the ocean, that is something you need to know. Now, as far as the rear-facing cameras go, this is going to be another pretty big difference between the 11 and the 12, but this year the biggest difference was with the 12 Pro models, thanks to that LiDAR scanner and of course that additional lens. So I did talk about that in my iPhone 12 versus iPhone 12 Pro video. That's linked up in the cards and down in the description below if you are curious about that. But you can see both phones have the same dual 12 megapixel lens. So we have an ultra wide and a wide angle lens, but the 12 has a slightly lower f-stop on the ultra wide lens at f1.6 versus f1.8 on the iPhone 11. So this of course is going to result in the iPhone 12 allowing more light into the lens, and essentially it's going to take better low light shots and low light videos. So both of these phones are going to have pretty much the same feature set. So we're going to have night mode, deep fusion, OIS, portrait mode, 4K 60 FPS recording, but the main reason you're going to see better photos on the iPhone 12 compared to the iPhone 11 is going to be because of that A14 chip inside, along with Smart HDR3. That's compared to Smart HDR2 in the iPhone 11. That's just Apple's post-processing of the image, and it just really improves greatly each and every year, which is really awesome to see. Now, not only will photos look better, but videos will look significantly better when shooting in Dolby Vision HDR. So this is a new format for the iPhone 12 that has never been put in an iPhone before, and the difference is literally night and day. But the only issue is viewing these videos on other displays that don't view HDR content well. So they're gonna look blown out, they're gonna look very bright, but of course you can always edit these videos, in a video editor of your choice, and you can adjust it there. But I still shoot in HDR every single time on my personal iPhone 12. I shoot in 4K HDR, and I can really never see myself going back to regular recording. So the quality difference is just that significant. I mean, it does eat up a lot of storage, but I do have the biggest iCloud storage plan, so I am able to kind of just not worry about the size. But that is something you should keep in mind if you do not have a larger storage size on your iPhone or on your iCloud account. But let's not discount the iPhone 11 camera, because it is still extremely good, and most people coming from anything older will notice a nice improvement in both stills and in video quality. Even coming from something like the iPhone XR, you're going to notice better photos and better video with the iPhone 11. And I would even argue that the iPhone 12 camera is somewhat overkill and really only makes sense to spend extra money on if you use your camera every single day and if you want the best of the best and don't really care as much about getting the best bang for your buck in a smartphone. Now, we cannot make a comparison between these two phones without mentioning 5G. So the iPhone 12, of course, comes with 5G, whereas the iPhone 11 just has the standard 4G LTE. But the thing is that 4G LTE is more consistent and faster than 5G for most people, including myself. Now, I live in a big city, but I still don't have a 5G tower close enough to me to make a difference. And I've actually noticed that my signal is worse when I'm on 5G. I drop calls, I lose internet connectivity, and I just get very spotty connections every time it goes from 5G to LTE. It kind of just drops from 5G to LTE and goes back and forth. And, those are some of the reasons that I just completely disabled 5G on my iPhone 12 and really any version of the iPhone 12, any model of the iPhone 12 that I have. One of the first things I do is just simply turn off 5G completely because it's really that bad right now. So as of 2021, the iPhone 11 is more reliable when it comes to cell connectivity, but the iPhone 12 is going to be better in the long run, of course. Now, we still might be waiting a couple of years to see 5G actually become a consistent and reliable thing that kind of lives up to all of the crazy promises and hype that we've been fed for years now. So while I would normally say to future-proof yourself when buying something like a new phone, I don't think that you need to do that in this area, especially because 4G LTE isn't even bad to begin with. Now, I would understand if it's going from like 3G to 5G, but 4G LTE is just not bad to begin with. So I don't think it's worth it to buy the iPhone 12 just for 5G at all. Now, when it comes to performance, both of these phones are absolute monsters when it comes to speed. So we have the A13 Bionic chip on the iPhone 11 and the A14 Bionic chip on the iPhone 12, and both phones have the same 4 gigabytes of RAM. So both phones are going to be blazing fast when it comes to opening up applications, playing games, exporting videos. Pretty much everything you throw at it, both phones are going to knock it out of the park. Now, they both also keep apps open in the background for a long time, something that's huge for multitasking and kind of just, every day using your phone. That's a huge deal for me, and I noticed a big improvement starting with the iPhone 11 versus previous phones, and the iPhone 12 just kind of builds on that. Now, I did a full speed test on these two phones, and I'll leave that video linked below. But if you watch that video, you'll see that the iPhone 12 is slightly faster than the iPhone 11, but nobody is going to notice that unless you have them side by side and just running a speed test. Like if you upgrade from the iPhone 11 to the iPhone 12, you probably won't even notice a difference unless you just had them both at the same time, launching the same app at the same time. It's really just that close. So there is definitely not enough of a difference to upgrade for just the performance gains alone. Now, speaking of that A14 Bionic chip, this is the reason that the battery life on the iPhone 12 is better than that on the iPhone 11, despite having a slightly smaller battery inside. So we have a 3110 milliamp hour battery on the iPhone 11 versus a 2815 milliamp hour battery on the iPhone 12. But as you guys saw in my massive battery test video, the iPhone 12 lasted 8 hours and 13 minutes, while the iPhone 11 lasted 7 hours and 47 minutes. So not a huge difference, and especially not something that you would notice unless you just had these, both side by side and running them at the same time and seeing which one would last longer. Both phones offer just much greater battery life than phones like the iPhone XS, iPhone XR, or especially anything older than either one of those two phones. But, the battery life is, again, another thing that's just very, very minuscule in terms of the difference in the two, and it's definitely not worth choosing one over the other just for the battery life alone. So with all of that being said, which one should you buy? And is the iPhone 12 worth $230 more than the iPhone 11? So in my opinion, the iPhone 11 is by far the better value here. Yes, the iPhone 12 has the OLED display, it has the 5G, it has the better camera, but unless you just simply always need the best of the best, it is simply not worth $230 more. And I'm sure 5G was a big reason that the iPhone 12 was priced as it is, but that's not worth much right now as far as I'm concerned, at least not in 2021. The iPhone 11 is going to be an excellent upgrade, even if you're upgrading from the previous generation iPhones like the iPhone XS or the iPhone XR, and an even better buy if you're on an iPhone 10, an iPhone 8, 8 Plus, or something even older than that. The iPhone 11 is going to be a tremendous upgrade for you. Now, if you have an iPhone 11, should you upgrade to the iPhone 12? And for that, I would say no. You will be paying well over $300 after selling your iPhone 11 or trading it in, and I just simply don't think it's worth it. I mean, you already have an amazing phone that is capable of just about as much as the 12, aside from 5G and HDR recording and of course that, better display. But in my opinion, that's not worth well over $300 more after you sell your iPhone 11. I would keep that and maybe, look forward to the iPhone 13 or the iPhone 14. And I do also need to mention that you can get used iPhone 11s for well under $500 on eBay. So if you don't mind getting a mint condition used iPhone, I would definitely take a look at that as well to save even more money. And that definitely makes the case better for the iPhone 11 versus the iPhone 12 as well. So yeah, guys, what do you think about the iPhone 11 versus the iPhone 12? Do you already have an iPhone 11? Do you already have an iPhone 12? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below. And of course, if you guys enjoyed this video, I would appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up. And of course, make sure you subscribe for a lot more videos and comparisons just like this one. But anyways, guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.